What is up, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today is a brand new episode, the 20th episode of the United Mexican States. This is officially the longest series that I have embarked on since the United States series back in 2019. So I'm very excited that this series is so successful right now. We have thousands and thousands of views on the playlist, as well as in all of the videos that I have made. I think we're shooting for nearly about 10,000 views overall in all episodes of the United Mexican States. So I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone that has enjoyed this series, that is very in tune to the series, and looks forward to every episode that I do produce and make. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. We have a message from the brand new Pope Calixtus, the gay, woman-hating, gay-hating Pope, as well, that he is also gay. So interesting stuff going on with our boy Calixtus. The reintroduction of capital punishment. Mexican government turns its back on democracy. Does your country wish to ignore the international community, Madam President, in deliberately diverting from democracy? This is the true future that awaits Mexico. Rectify your decisions that show the world that you are not the tyrannical head of state you seem to be. So, looks like that Mr. Pope is upset at us. However, his loyalty vis-a-vis is still 100%, so we don't really have to worry that he is too upset at us. He still likes us. He still respects us. We're only doing it in order to really stem the crime rate in Mexico, as it is starting to stagnate. It is now no longer on its way down, so we need to continue to try to get things going whenever it comes to trying to getting our crime rates as low as we can. So this is the other very difficult thing that I seem to be having with this, is that we are unable to get the severity of punishments down, or at least up. So I think what we can do is that we can try to do this slowly. So we're going to go for 3.5. Usually it will let you do like an increment like this. Will it let me? No, it does not seem like it wants me to do that. It kind of seems like it's stuck at that number, so that is very unfortunate. 72.9. We're not gonna worry about that. So we are nearly to the year 2030, so we need to check on our objectives, and I already have a focus on today's episode that we're gonna be going for. So we're gonna go for 250 megatons by 2030, so we have 3 years to get. We're actually gonna go for 200 megatons, and we'll go for 250. At 225, gonna go for 225, and 2035 will be the year. Nah, we'll do 2039, 2040. We're gonna reduce it to 2040. It is unfortunate. So $7 billion is the total amount for developing nations. So the big nations really do not care right now about getting all of that fixed. Carbon tax. Let's go ahead and get the carbon tax to 2,000 pesos. That way we can achieve our goals. Increase this. We're going to attach it to a small reform here. We're going to call this the 2028 Financing Reform Act. And we're going to call it the 2028 Financing Act because it's going into fiscal year 2028. We're going to put this at a flat 2,500. And yeah, we're just going to put it at a flat 2,500. Create the reform. And then tax. Can we put it this? We're gonna reduce the fuel tax a little bit. We're gonna get some pretty good support here if we lower the fuel tax. We'll go ahead and throw that onto the financing act. Company tax, we're gonna reduce to 23%. So 67, Financing Act. It's going to cause a little bit of growth, so we need to increase the it'll be the not the industrial pollution. It's going to be the financial transaction tax. It's to kind of like fight the amount of growth that the increase in the company or the decrease in the company tax will create. So we're going to add that to the reform. Still a 76% chance of it passing. Audio-visual tax. This funds radio and television stations. Nothing too much here that we can make. Real estate tax, 196 pesos. Can we increase the real estate tax just a tiny bit? What else we need to do is that we need to go over to housing construction and start increasing our funding of housing. That is something we really need to start concentrating on, and we also need to continue to try to reduce the poorly insulated housing, because we are at 18.85% in terms of substandard housing rate. That is still very high. So 11 million out of 2.1 million out of 11.1 million is unhealthy. So this is all of our public housing that needs to be fixed, and so we need to continue to try to attack that discrepancy right there. So the biggest focus that we're going to be on for this episode is we're going to start a couple of missions in terms of space exploration. So we do have a space program here. We do need to cooperate with either the ESA or the United States. We're most likely going to be renting the Cape Canaveral Center for our project. So what we're going to do is that we're going to we're going to increase our funding to our sectors in our space research. So we're going to do human life, exobiology, astronomy, physics of the universe, and space propulsion. That was about a nearly 40 billion peso investment into our space program. We're also going to increase our manpower here. So we're going to increase this, let's say 200,000 people in our space sector, and we're going to increase their pay to, let's say 15,000 pesos. And actually, because of that increase to the manpower, we're gonna just do 150,000 right here for now. And so we're gonna confirm that over. That'll increase our deficit to 0.21. Some of our tax increases should be able to cover some of that cost, so we're not gonna worry too much about it for right now. And I am back. So basically, the reason I had to skip over is because we want to start focusing on getting our space missions launched from Mexico. We don't really want to depend on another state in order to launch our satellites, everything like that, because then we would have to basically give up national security secrets in order to do that. So what we're going to do is that we're going to finance our own launch pad in Mexico. Now, the best way to find out is to find out where we want to build this. So the best possible option is going to be either in the Tamaulipas region, or it would be in the Yucatan Peninsula. So basically, I think that the Yucatan Peninsula will be the best option, either in Quintana Roo or in Yucatan. Maybe in Campeche, but I think that's a little too inland. It would make sense for it to be on the coast, mainly because a lot of times you see places like Cape Canaveral, French Guiana right here. A lot of times you have to launch toward the way that the Earth orbits, so that's called a prograde launch trajectory. And whenever you do that, actually the Indians do that too, about right here, and they always have this huge body of water that in case something happens, that the rocket blows up or anything like that, it's not going to come crashing down onto a city. Because there's been a lot of times where, like, I think in China, for example, they had like an inland, they still have a very, very deep inside of their country rocket launch facility. And there's been times where a rocket, a Long March 5 or a Long March type rocket, was launched, it malfunctioned and it actually came down right on top of a city and blew up the entire city and killed like 100 people. I might be wrong on the amount of deaths there, but that's one reason why we don't want to do this. We don't want to do it like in the Sonora region or Baja California, or even in like anywhere near Mexico City, especially right here. So I think we're gonna do the Yucatan Peninsula. So we're gonna do Cancun, and we're gonna do it south of Cancun. So I think this is Cozumel right here. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right here. So basically, like if you're in like Cancun or Cozumel for a vacation, you can look over here and then you can look and see, oh, there's a space launch. And then so not only are you on vacation, you're also watching a space launch right off of the bat. Fun fact, by the way, while like yesterday at the recording of this video, you can actually look up Texas UFO on either Twitter or on like the news or anything like that. Basically, what I saw is that there was a rocket launch, and it was SpaceX launching one of their new what is it called, the Starlink satellites. And whenever the Starlink satellite was launched, I actually was able to see the rocket launch from my house. And I've never seen a rocket launch before. I've always wanted to go see one, everything like that. So if you guys are down to donate to the channel so I can go watch a rocket launch, I would love for you to do that. But it was really cool because like, I think I was watching it come back down from space, because it was kind of weird because I was watching it come down, and whenever I was watching it come down, you couldn't really see the trajectory. Like it was just really weird to be watching, and I just could not understand like what it was doing, because I knew it was a rocket. The moment I saw it, I didn't even have to wait for the news to report on it. I already knew that it was a SpaceX rocket. However, my mistake was that I thought it was being launched from Boca Chica, which is SpaceX's Texas launch facility. It was actually launched from Cape Canaveral, and it came down back over Texas. And so that was what was really throwing me off about the whole thing. Okay, so what I ended up doing is that I finally got some basing rights in Guatemala. So there's actually an incident that just happened where a journalist was kidnapped inside of Guatemala. So this allows me to build one air base, one troop base, and one naval base. So this will be very beneficial for Mexican military strong power in order to get them to basically kind of like fight terrorism, and we have like a handful of troops that we will be able to deploy into Guatemala. We're going to keep the base under 10,000 troops, so we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to fully fund the base, and we're going to build this let's build it south of Guatemala City, and I also want to build a air base as well. So we're going to build this a little bit higher up into the countryside. And do we want to do a naval base? I don't think so yet, but we're going to call this Guatemala City Base, and we're going to call this Guatemala Air Base. And we're gonna find some Spanish names for them later. If there's any Mexicans in the chat or in the comment section, go ahead and give me your suggestions on what kind of bases you would like to see what kind of base names you would like to see for these bases. So this will be very beneficial for the Mexican military. Again, it gives us some troops to deploy into Southern America, or at least into Central America. We also have a Honduras meeting coming up soon, so we're going to go ahead and continue on. Another major project that we are going to be preparing for is that we are going to ask that all of Central America give us the ability to bypass them in order to build a Mexican-Brazilian pipeline. We could also consider a extension of this pipeline all the way down to Argentina. However, economic relations are not the best with Argentina right now. Let's actually check. So economic relations are right now, and our strategic relations are -23. We actually did previously have a free trade agreement with Argentina, but they ripped it up after a coup d'etat, so that was very unfortunate whenever that happened. Next elections are in 1091 days, and the military is still in power, unfortunately. So what we are going to do is we're going to ask that Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, all of them ask that they accept a pipeline moving through their territory, and then we would like to ask Brazil to accept one as well. That way we can try to start exporting natural gas and oil over to Brazil. So what we want to check first is to make sure that it is going to be economically viable for us to do that. So let's go over to we're going to do natural gas. We're going to go to World Info, and we're going to go to Brazil. And so Brazil could be a producer of this. Let's do it by alphabetical order. So we're gonna see that Brazil is pretty. So their trade balance 9.8 billion. It's actually expanding right now. 138 billion in sales for natural gas and 50 billion in profits. It's actually on its way down. And for oil, let's go over to oil. Let's go to Brazil, and they are very proficient. They're self-sufficient in oil production. So we could find another customer. I would say maybe Peru could be one. So we could build a pipeline, have a crossover like this, and then have it cross back into Peru. Could they be an economically viable partner for this? We already have a pipeline traveling into the United States. Well, actually, let's look. Start building a gas pipeline. So we already have one with the United States, and we need to check our oil wells to make sure that there is one that we can build that is, again, economically viable. All right, and so we just asked all of Central America and as well as Colombia and Peru to accept the potential construction of a oil pipeline. We also have 2 immigration agreements that just got accepted by Brazil and Argentina. So these are going to be good because that means that we are now importing workers from Brazil and Argentina in order to continue to develop our economy. So we're going to go ahead and X those out and acknowledge that they have been agreed to. In El Salvador, reconnaissance of a ministerial target. So we'll go forward with that. Construction begins on the pipeline 2750. 100,000 people will be involved in the construction of such a pipeline. And so if I wanted to, we can invest about $481 billion pesos from our available treasury. And then if we wanted to continue on, we would get this done in 5 months. 220,000 people will be involved in the construction project. 153 billion annually, and 1 trillion pesos in cost over the next 5 years. So we do have that option available, so we're going to hold off on such a project right now. We already have another major project, which is the space program right now. So we're going to do a couple of missions before the end of this episode. And Colombia, Brazil, we just need to increase our relations with Peru in order to get them to sign on to such an agreement. As for the length of this episode, we are going to go to the end of this episode on the conclusion of the Cayu Summit. In the previous episode, I did go a little bit longer than usual, so the last episode was like about 50 minutes. And the reason for that is because I had to pass a referendum for the death penalty, I believe it was. And so we needed to have that time in order to do the referendum. And I wanted to just kind of focus on that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the end of the Cayu Summit, and then we will end the episode as normal, and then you will see another episode. Surely, I believe I will be able to get this next episode out on Friday. So this episode is going to go up Wednesday, and then the next episode should be up Friday, because I really do like to do the 2 episodes a week. I have not been able to stick to that, mainly because of the holidays recently, but I should be able to return to that normal schedule for you guys, because I know you guys have been really eager for a lot more episodes, and plus it allows us to progress through the series a lot quicker than normally. That way you don't have to wait like a week for every episode. Official protest. Your attempt to corrupt one of the members of our government is inadmissible. Our diplomatic relations will be forever changed by this. Unfortunately, Guatemala seems to have found out that I am trying to corrupt one of their ministers, but our relations are continuously still normal, so don't really have to worry about any removal of our military bases. I'm along for the military base 25 out of 90 days. 5.23 percent growth in 2027. So the economy, this is the end of year results. The economy is nearly at 35 trillion pesos. The economy grew 5.23% in 2027. So we are now in an election year for the United States. I am still 917 days from the Mexican federal election. We have a major event that is going to happen in the next couple of episodes. So we are going to be meeting normally with the Democrats in the United States. We're going to be ensuring that the Democrats are going to win this next presidential election. It is in our absolute national benefit, because if the Republicans come in, there is going to be a steep drop in our diplomatic relations, and it would probably get to a point to where the United States would step in and rip apart our immigration agreement. We get nearly 1 trillion pesos off of that agreement, and if that is ended, then we are screwed. We are absolutely screwed. The Puebla Music Festival is next week, so just around the Cayu Summit, we have a major cultural event alongside the inauguration of an internationally acclaimed museum.
The work is
so we're going to go ahead and do that as well. So El Salvador approaching the terrorist group,
coupled with the brown model
the Salvadorian democracy. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move in and get the Salvadorian. What is the Salvadorian Democratic Action? So we're meeting up with the Salvadorian Action Movement right now, and so we should be able to give them some money and weapons. So we're gonna do some financial aid.
How much?
We'll do 2 million pesos.
A big
and we're gonna do 2,000 rifles, and then offer 3 semi-trailers of rockets and explosives.
We seem to.
So good. We're gonna start seeing whether they're gonna destabilize it. However, the riskiest thing about it is that someone is going to find out. Do we have freedom of expression in Mexico? As for the media, so right here, state pressures and influence, I think we might get bitten in the ass for liberalizing our media. So hopefully we are not found out. We're gonna go ahead and check agent training, fight against terrorism, worldwide surveillance. So I think that is agent training, fight against terrorism, counterintelligence. 17. I don't think so right now. So 8/11. Our last recorded action was 8/11/27. So that was a year ago, actually. It was an attack. So we could cease relations at some point, but we're just gonna hold off for right now. We have a 2.75% surplus for the Mexican economy right now. Good. Really like to see that. 2.78. So wow, huge benefits right now in Mexico for the Mexican economy. Huge surplus that we can spend a lot of money on. Budget surplus of 3%, and our total public debt, that is to say the engagements of the state in terms of loans, rises to 10.4 trillion pesos. Debt reimbursement level is 1.6 trillion pesos. Finally, the most significant figure, our budgetary surplus, has risen to 3% of the GDP. So the surplus that we have, again, is nearly 3%, which is really good. So that means that we can actually put more into healthcare, into police, and everything like that. Illegal employment creeped up just a tiny bit, so we need to watch that very closely. What What is this? So watch out for growth. Quarterly employment figures stagnate 6.21% inflation or growth rate. New interest rate 0.15% in interest rate from the Caillou. Attempt to eliminate the head of state for El Salvador. We're going to go ahead and end off this episode right here. We're going to order the assassination of Pablo Flopez. And that was something that we talked about in a previous episode. We're going to start funding some sort of terrorist movement in El Salvador, as well as assassinating the head of state, because it is not in our national interest to have a military government in El Salvador. So that is underway as of right now, so his reign is about to come to an end, and we will see what the results of this assassination attempt will be. And so we are on January 14th, 2028, number 49 issue of the Bugle of Mexico. Pablo Flopez has been assassinated by a government mole. The news has the effect of a bomb. The head of state has been murdered by Miguel Zulez, an eminent member of the government. The Minister for Culture took advantage of a personal lunch with the head of state to go into action. Nobody knows for sure what led Miguel Zulez to stab Pablo Flopez in the chest with salad cutlery, but according to an unofficial source, foreign power may have been the active partner in the assassination. Which one? That is what the secret services are trying to discover. A much more difficult task after Miguel Zulez's disappearance. So unfortunately, the unfortunately very shocking news coming out of El Salvador. The Mexican government is in condolences with the isn't silent condolences, you know, kind of sarcastically. We are looking upon that because we did not support their coup d'etat back in the previous year, but we never really tolerate anything like assassination, especially state-sponsored assassinations. So we are very much in condolences with the Salvadorian people and hope that election and democracy comes back to El Salvador within this next election. And just to check, we have a brand new president in El Salvador. We have Juan Chiviras, and the next elections are in 72 days. So in the next episode, we will be studying the presidential elections in El Salvador and ensuring that the elections go in the complete correct direction in this case, and hope that there is no coup d'etat afterward. So guys, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys like this episode, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. In the next episode, we are going to start focusing on building some space missions, and as well as focusing on things like El Salvador, and we're going to start spending this excess, so we have a lot of money that we can invest into things like education and healthcare. So we're going to go ahead and do that in the next episode. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon and go and check out the playlist for the United Mexican States as seen in this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.